All right, now considering it is a John Jones fight week, I figured that this would be a very appropriate tier list to do to start the week off, and that is to rank the most degenerate fighters in the UFC. Fighters that like to indulge themselves, whether it be drugs, alcohol, women, all of the above, who knows? But that's what we're going to do in today's tier list. We are going to start it off in D tier as usual. Let's get to it right away. The first fighter to get ranked into this tier list is going to be Tai Tuivasa. Now, Tai Tuivasa is like the epitome of a glutton. Okay, very clearly, right? This guy's got an issue with food, but also alcohol. Every single time he wins a fight, we see him chug a beer out of somebody's shoe, which is disgusting. Objectively speaking, it is degenerate. And imagine if that's what he does when he wins, what do we think he's doing when he loses? If that's what he does in front of thousands of people, what kind of disgusting shit does he get into when he's not in front of thousands of people, you know? But he is very clearly an alcoholic. He promotes alcohol constantly. And like I said, very clearly, very, very clearly a glutton. Now, I do think Tai Tuivasa is a fun character, but I think objectively speaking, he is somewhat degenerate. Now, moving on, okay, to the next fighter to get ranked on this tier list is going to be Carlos Prates. Now, we saw Carlos Prates have a phenomenal performance just this past Saturday, rather, against Neil Magny. And every single performance he's had in the UFC has looked fantastic. In about 10 months, he's gotten 4 walk-off KOs. This dude is absolutely fucking phenomenal. Okay, but I put him on this list because, as many of you are probably aware, he smokes cigarettes, which is, you know, kind of based, honestly, dude. I smoke cigarettes. So I'm like, all right, that's my guy. But it's slightly degenerate, especially somebody that should be taking the best, like the utmost, you know, best possible care of themselves as they could. They are a professional athlete, quite literally, yet he steps outside for a cigarette after getting a knockout finish. It is fucking awesome. You know, I don't necessarily use degenerate in a bad way all the time, at least. When we get higher up this list, we will see some bad degenerates. Either way, moving on to the next fighter to get ranked into this tier list, and that is going to be Kevin Holland. Now, Kevin Holland is dude, Kevin Holland, basically, he kind of looks like it, too. This dude is like the Snoop Dogg of the UFC. He smokes so much fucking weed, dude. It's like actually insane. He's constantly smoking weed. There's another fighter that's like that as well, but he's got some other issues as well. He's a little bit higher up on this list. Always smoking blunts, all the rest of it. Also, it was kind of affecting his career to an extent because Kevin Holland would rather be a pothead that sat around and played video games all the time than cut down to 170, and that had him fighting some guys that were a bit too big for him, perhaps, and he wasn't able to do, you know, his best work at middleweight. So I think Kevin Holland is slightly degenerate. Also, no, but not probably, dude. He loves women. I think he's spoken about this on multiple occasions. If I'm not mistaken, the dude's got a gang of kids. Either way, let's move on to the next fighter. We are going to be getting into C tier now. Aylin Perez. Okay. Now, you could put Aylin Perez can just be like a placeholder for any female fighter that has a suggestive OnlyFans. Okay, Aylin Perez, listen, dude, I'm not a coomer or a gooner or any of the above, so I don't know what is on her OnlyFans. However, I've heard from very reputable sources that hers is probably a little bit more suggestive, I guess you could say, than some of the other fighters. I mean, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson has an OnlyFans, right? But he's doing tutorials on there. Craig Jones has been using OnlyFans for a long time. He also does tutorials on there, although Aylin Perez, I think, is doing a different kind of tutorial. Not to mention she's constantly shaking her booty. If I'm not mistaken, she has a son, which is, I mean, fucking hell, dude. I feel horrible. But either way, right? We see her letting Marab, who is an absolute troll bridge, just slap her ass around like she's like literally it's listen, dude, disgusting. But like I said, you could use her as a placeholder, although again, like I said, her OnlyFans, I have heard, is a lot more suggestive than some of the other ones. Okay, listen, dude, take my word for it. I've not looked at it, I promise. Either way, let's move on to the next fighter. going on to this tier list, and that is going to be Bobby Green. Now, I mentioned when I was talking about Kevin Holland that there is another fighter that smokes a ton of weed, like basically nonstop, especially when he's not in the UFC setting. Like when he's out and about and he's doing podcasts and things like this dude is constantly lighting up blunts. Now, I don't know if it's just that he is uncomfortable with himself and he doesn't know what to do with his hands, or, you know, whatever the fuck it is, but he's always smoking weed. Bobby Green drinks as well, but not just that, dude. He has divulged, if you listen to some of these podcasts where he is smoking copious amounts of pot. And by the way, listen, dude, I smoke a bit of weed. It's not the biggest of deals, but these guys are professional fucking athletes, okay? They should be held to a bit of a higher standard. Not that weed is like, you know, crack or anything, but still. He's divulged some pretty interesting stories when he's smoking blunts on podcasts. Okay, very disgusting stuff. Either way, let's move on to the next fighter to get ranked on this tier list, and that is going to be Johnny Walker. Now, some of you might be wondering, like, what the fuck? And I know his name is a whiskey, but that's not the point. Johnny Walker famously, I don't know if anybody remembers this dude, because I think it was a Morning Combat interview where we had Paul Craig talking to Luke Thomas and Brian Campbell, and they were talking about fun characters in the UFC. That it was I'm not mistaken, the same interview where Paul Craig told the story about how Mike Perry's the one that convinced him to paint his face like Braveheart and fucking while out and pulled the fire alarm and shit, I think. Either way, he also told a story about Johnny Walker where he said that allegedly, Johnny Walker made his way across Scotland, just basically doing all of their women. Okay. And he said that he might even have some bastards that he's unaware of. So Johnny Walker is an absolute pussy fiend, in other words, which is how he got landed on this tier list. Okay. Now we're getting into some of the big stuff. Okay. This is the serious stuff. We're getting to B tier. All right. Now the first fighter to get ranked in B tier is going to be Israel Adesanya. There was no way I could do a degenerate fighter tier list without Israel Adesanya. Okay. This guy is fucking degen to the max. He not only does he smoke weed and drink, which again, dude, look, I'm not judging necessarily. I'm not like some fucking, you know, stuck up nerd or whatever, but not only does he do that, he drinks and drives. One, we know that for sure because he got in trouble for it. But also, Israel Adesanya, I believe, is a coomer. Okay, because when he was leading up to fight Sean Strickland, some things got uncovered. Not just the weird videos of him and his dog, but something that maybe changed the context of that a little bit. Not that you could really even make an argument for what he was doing not being fucking insane, but Israel Adesanya, it turns out, kind of like another, okay, we'll get to that in a bit, never mind, I don't want to spoil it, but it turned out that he liked or followed a page, a woman, who dresses up as a dog and performs some of the same kind of things that maybe Aylin Perez does on her OnlyFans. So in other words, Israel Adesanya is a furry enjoyer. That is degen as fuck, okay? That is unbelievably degen. And like I said, he drinks, he smokes, he drives while he drinks. And listen, this is just the shit that's public. Imagine having that much weird shit be public, you know? It's kind of like, what do you do in private? If I can see all this shit, there's no way I know everything, you know? I can only imagine what Israel Adesanya gets up to in his spare time in private when there's no cameras around. Either way, let us move on to the next fighter to get ranked on this tier list, going into B tier. It would only be fitting that we put Israel Adesanya's maybe greatest rival right next to him in B tier, in Alex Pereira. Now, some of you are probably going to be wondering, like, what? He's a recovered alcoholic. I don't think I've ever seen him drink. Oh, also, Israel Adesanya, I need to mention this. He bets like crazy. That's another thing. He is constantly betting. So he's a gambling addict, perhaps. I'm not a doctor, I don't want to say. and a furry enjoyer and a DUIer and all the rest of it. But let's get to Alex Pereira, okay? Alex Pereira. Listen, dude, people forget, man. I feel like this story got buried, and it was like people just the story got buried, but there was something that was a little underlining that I feel like Alex Pereira just got away with. So there was the whole false allegation that came of the, I don't know, fuck, Riley Reid or something. I don't know who it was. Some chick, right? Who does OnlyFans, like Aylin Perez. And the story went that Alex Pereira wanted to stick it in the back door, the back hole. And she couldn't do it for some reason, so he did it, and I don't know if it hurt. I don't know. The story, listen, dude, I don't want to get too graphic, okay? But you'll probably have heard of the story. Now, obviously, the allegations of it being, I guess, forced or whatever you want to say, were bullshit. That chick dipped out immediately. Riley Reid said, "Nah, fuck this. I'm done. I don't even want to do this anymore because my story's full of holes." You know. But Alex Pereira still smashed an OnlyFans chick, lady, woman, whatever, and stuck it in the... Now, listen, to be fair, Alex Pereira might have just been looking out for his own health, because if you've got a woman like Riley Reid, who, I think that was that girl's name, that he was, whatever, doesn't matter, who's taken an ungodly amount of serpents, I guess, I don't know, something like that, you might be a bit concerned about sticking yours in there. So maybe him going that way was that was like big brain strategy shit. Like, no. I'm not putting it in that fucking death trap. I'll put it in that one, you know? But it is still undoubtedly degenerate as fuck for a man who claims to be somewhat kind of Muslim or whatever, to quit drinking, to be smashing OnlyFans models through the back. Like, Alex Pereira just kicked in her back door. That's basically what the story was. It was, he just kicked in her back door. That's degenerate, okay? So, I am a huge Alex Pereira fan, but listen, buddy, you're on this fucking list. Let's move on. The next fighter to get ranked on this tier list is gonna be Nick Diaz. Now, Nick Diaz could have been lower down. He's a big pothead. We all know this. He's had drinking problems. We all know this as well. But recently there was a video that surfaced of him trying to light a fucking patch of like grass or plant on fire, which that is unacceptable, degenerate behavior. You can get drunk. You can smoke pot if you want to, Nick Diaz. I don't care. Right? You're old. I don't think you should be fighting, but it doesn't matter. But trying to burn down greenery is absolutely unhinged behavior. And it makes me think that Nick Diaz is like completely and totally mentally stunted, which is probably in large part due to his degenerate lifestyle. Listen, when you're like a kid, like a teenager, and you're getting intoxicated, you going around trying to light shit on fire, that's, you know, listen, it's dumb. You shouldn't do it, but kind of to be expected. Nick Diaz, though, if I'm not mistaken, damn near probably pushing 40. Getting drunk all the time, smoking weed, probably indulging in some other shit as well. And he tries to light shrubs on fire. What the fuck, bro? They looked like they were kind of, I don't know what they were. They were outdoors, so at least it wasn't like a yucca plant or something. That would have made me real mad. But, undoubtedly degenerate behavior. Now, let's move on, dude. Now, listen, I told you, B tier with some heavy hitters. We're getting heavy, though. We're getting heavy now. All right. The first fighter to go into A tier, Sugar Sean O'Malley. Now, some of you are probably thinking, like, what the fuck? You're using your own criteria, but inconsistently. Why do you have pot smokers like Kevin Holland and Bobby Green so far down the list? But Sean O'Malley's up in A tier, when I don't even think the guy does much else. But he does, though, right? There's that annoying fucking podcast episode after he lost to Merab Dvalishvili talking about how we partied like we won, though, didn't we? We partied like we won. Where's Schmitty? That whole podcast, dude, the whole Schmitty debacle. I think we had also an I'd have to go back and listen, but I swear to God, there was an admittance of ecstasy usage, which is a degenerate as fuck. Okay, what are you, a woman going to a festival, dude? What the fuck? But either way, Sean O'Malley, not just the substance use. I'm not gonna say abuse because I'm not a doctor, but the substance use. That's enough, right? But then we also have the open relationship. Now, I know a lot of people that maybe like to watch guys like fucking Andrew Tate or whatever. Will be like, oh, but he doesn't do that anymore now, though, because he's the top G ever since he became champion. First of all, dude, if you had to become the champion of the UFC to not let your wife get fucked by other dudes, what? What? How is that a fucking requirement? What, you set the fucking highest bar for yourself of all time? Imagine that thought process. You know what, dude? I'll let my wife get fucked by whoever until I become UFC champion. If every guy did that, we would have no successful relationships in society, period. Okay? But then also, now I think they've chilled out on that a bit, mellowed out, but he tries to do threesomes with his wife. Listen, all of these things, I don't give a fuck what you do with your own relationship. The problem is, though, these things have bad effects on society. You should not be doing these things if you have a woman and a child. Okay, you just shouldn't be. I don't care if you're the top G or not. You should be faithful to your partner, point blank, period. Okay? You just should be. And you should also not be introducing thirds and fourths and whatever. But what you also shouldn't be doing when you're doing these degenerate activities is talking about them to a fucking teen streamer in neon with your little toddler on your lap. Now, there's one potential fact that could save Sean O'Malley here, and that is that toddler might not be his because of his degenerate lifestyle. And I'm not saying that to be a dick or anything like that. If you go back, there's a podcast episode where they talk about the alleged conception of said child. And fishy at best, okay? And that wasn't a sperm joke, right? It's just like very, very, I don't know, like, listen, dude. If I was Sean O'Malley, I understand he might not be the brightest bulb in the fucking whatever cupboard, light lamp, I don't know, but you know what I'm trying to say. I don't understand how somebody could get told the way, like, I'm trying not to get too graphic. When there's a very particular specific way that you create life. And when one of those steps is not carried out, okay, is your wife fucking Mary? I don't get it, dude. There was a miraculous, it's, okay, listen, let's just move on, because I could talk about Sean O'Malley's weird shit for a long time, but we're going to get to the next fighter to go into A tier. And a lot of you were probably thinking he could be S tier. And honestly, dude, I could have made an A+ tier. And he could have gone there. I might put him bordering A and S, and that's Conor McGregor. This man is so fucking degenerate, but it's like in the best way, okay? But, you know, if he didn't have an Irish accent, none of it would be good. We'd be like, oh my God, look how sad this is. Like, if Conor McGregor sounded or spoke like Nick Diaz, we would be like, oh no, dude. One of our favorite fucking entertainers is going downhill fast. But because he's got an Irish accent and he's just insane, it's just absolutely incredible. Take a look at that Mune, you know, take a look at that. The man is absolutely fucking blasted, and he's just losing his shit over the Mune. The man is absolutely fucking nuts. He's insane. Ilya Toptoro, the man, fuck him, you know, just going on like that. I love it. Also, constantly cheating on his wife. He is abso-fucking-lutely on cocaine. That moment in the kick stream where somebody says, Connor, take your glasses off. Sure, no problem. And he takes his glasses off and smiles like a kid that just got in trouble or is getting called out by his parents. Constantly drinking, pushing his own products, of course, but he's, you know, rule number one, bro. Listen, I don't know if anybody was around to teach him this, but don't get high on your own supply. Okay? That was something I was taught as a kid. All right? So what the fuck are you doing? Now, I know a lot of people are probably going to bring up the whole, like, allegations that he's constantly going through. There's a few. Listen, dude, that story is a little sus, if I'm being honest. I've read as many articles as I possibly could on that entire situation. I don't think that Conor McGregor is necessarily guilty of that. I'm going to be honest. First of all, it's innocent until proven guilty. Anyways, second of all, it's very convenient that there's no criminal trial. There was no criminal trial whatsoever. They went immediately to a civil trial. Now, there's a few differences between a civil and a criminal trial, right? Number one would be the evidentiary standard that you need to meet in order to get a judgment. So when it comes to a civil trial, it's like a preponderance of evidence, meaning who has more evidence, basically. And is that evidence credible? When it comes to a criminal trial, it's beyond a reasonable doubt, which is a very, very, very different standard. That is a much higher standard, and it should be. Now, another thing that's convenient is that in Ireland specifically, you have to, if you are in a criminal trial, you are not, your name is not allowed to get published until you are found guilty, which I think is a good law, by the way. I think that's good, because there are people that get their lives ruined by false allegations, right? And the act that has happened to an individual has already happened, and that's unfortunate, and it's very shitty, right? But you shouldn't then also go and ruin another life if that's not what actually happened, which is, I think, the thought process behind it. Like, if, you know, but it doesn't matter. But in a civil trial, that's not the case, which is why his name's being published, which is why we are getting articles on it and all the rest of it, which I find to be kind of gross, if I'm being honest, because she's asking for millions of dollars. And she was also, with a newborn baby, out with another man at his hotel room. Like, people are just ignoring this, with her husband at home, doing cocaine, according to her, by the way, with Connor, and drinking and all the rest of it. So I personally think that perhaps she, you know, did something she regretted and didn't want to tell her husband that she did something she regretted. So she made it out to be that she did something, or that, you know, something was done to her, which I think is wrong. But if you read the actual case and a lot of the stuff that's coming out in the trial, I don't think that Conor McGregor did what they're saying. So when it comes to him, that was a long tangent, and I apologize for that. But when it comes to Conor McGregor, what we're doing is we're talking substance use. We're talking an absolute fucking pussy fiend. This dude is a hound, okay? And you know what? His standards are so fucking low. That's one thing. Look, I'm fine with I stopped myself because I just about made an absolute statement that I shouldn't have. I am okay with certain forms of degeneracy, okay? Maybe not okay with it. I just don't care. It's your life, right? A little more libertarian in that aspect, if you're an adult and you're not hurting anybody. That being said, if you're going to be a pussy fiend and you've got a beautiful, lovely wife at home in D. Devlin, you should not be going after, like, the ladies that have been alleged to have, you know, I mean, what the fuck kind of downgrade is that, okay? Either way, very long tangent. Sorry about that. Substance use, alcohol, drugs, you know, cocaine, weed, all that shit. Cigars, gambling to a crazy degree, and also an adulterer, which is degenerate as fuck. All right, now let's move on and get away from Connor, because kind of I could talk about him for a long time. Listen. Last fighter to get put into that A-tier spot, okay, is gonna be, this one's gonna surprise some of you, Chris Razor Blades Curtis. Oh wait, no, that's not Chris Kevin Holland Curtis. No, Chris Action Man Blades, whatever. Chris Curtis, okay, is in A-tier. for one reason and one reason only. All right. Listen, I've not seen Chris Curtis indulge in a lot of substances. Chris Curtis has a lovely wife at home with a child. Chris Curtis is I don't know how to phrase this properly. I mean, we are long enough in the video that I think I could probably get away with a bit more stuff, but Chris Curtis is an ally of the community. Disgusting behavior. Okay, Chris Curtis, in all seriousness, is not just a Democrat voter. I don't give a fuck who you voted for. He is an unhinged progressive, right? A leftist. That is degenerate by definition. That's one. You can't. There's no squaring that away. Okay, degenerate as fuck. But he will also argue for putting tampons in men's bathrooms. And I don't have these tweets anymore, unfortunately. There's a video that I did on this where I do have all these tweets saved, but Chris Curtis has since deleted his Twitter ever since the 45th and the 47th president of the United States was elected, Donald Trump, okay? Deleted his Twitter. That's some pussy shit. But Chris Curtis, for his child, his beautiful baby boy, his little son, got a trans babysitter. And listen, dude, I've been racking my brain about that because I cannot understand I'm just speaking with a lisp for some reason because I'm trying to get this out. I'm speaking like Mike Tyson all of a sudden. Oh, Keith, fuck you, white boy. I don't understand the thought process is what I was trying to say. That one would go through to hire a babysitter like that, because not even if we fuck the identity issue of it, that's, or statistics regarding certain types of abuse. Fuck that for a second. We'll talk about that. But by definition, you hired an individual with a mental illness to watch over your baby. I wouldn't hire somebody with schizophrenia. I wouldn't hire somebody with a anxiety disorder who had panic attacks. If I'm entrusting you to look after my child, you better be squared the fuck away about as good as you could possibly be. Okay? There's family members I won't let watch my kid. Right? And then you go and you get a person that is on a gang of medication, a gang of it, by definition, has a mental illness, and you have them watch your baby. What the fuck are you doing? Okay? This is mind-blowing to me, because here's the thing. When you put out an ad for a babysitter, if you're not just going to a daycare, right? You put out an ad for a babysitter, you most likely have multiple people sending you resumes or coming to speak to you for an interview. Or at least you should be doing your due diligence as a parent, right? You've got people that would come and speak to you. Now, either this lady was, or this man, I don't know what it was, actually, if I'm being honest. He didn't specify. This human, this individual, I have no idea. I'm assuming it was a trans woman, which is unhinged. But either way, Chris Curtis, either it was the first person that you interviewed and you went, yup, checks out, everything's good. Hell yeah, dude, you're gonna be my fucking kid's babysitter. What's up? And you gave this person full access to your baby. Okay. Or this is all, I don't know. I don't even know which one's worse. Or you interviewed a bunch of them and you thought, yup, the best one, dude, the one for the job. You know who that is? The one that is mentally ill. The one that is dressed up like a woman, even though it's got a beard and a 12-inch cock that I might have been on top of last night. That's what Chris Curtis was. It's one or the other. So dude, we need answers, but he deleted his fucking Twitter, so he's not going to give us any. That is so fucking insane. That is insane. I can't. There's going to be people that hear that and get upset, but listen, man. Again, whoops, I moved him in desk here. That was God doing, that was the Lord moving through my hand, moving the mouse. I didn't do that. I know there's going to be people that are upset about this little bit, but when you've got people who, like I said, fuck the identity aspect of it. Would you let somebody that was like chronically depressed or had panic attacks or all like whatever, any of these, would you let them babysit your baby? Not like a 12-year-old where they can kind of do their own shit. They can kind of, you know, like if I leave, I can leave my 12-year-old home alone easy. He can make lunch. He can do whatever the fuck, right? It's not like that where you're just kind of there in case something goes sideways. It's like you need to basically make sure this thing doesn't die, right? Why would you pick somebody that's got issues like that? That just doesn't make sense. That should, I'm gonna be real, dude. That should disqualify you, if not professionally speaking, like meaning you're not allowed to do that job. Personally speaking, if I was interviewing that would be an immediate disqualifier. Any of those, any of the mental, either way, dude. Let's move on because I'm gonna get stuck here. S tier, dude. S tier, baby. The final one, dude. Obviously, you guessed it, bro. It's his fight week. It's Jon Jones. Jon Jones. I mean, come on. This is self-explanatory. Jon Jones is the degen. He is the top degen of all of them. He's the big boy, the big degen, okay? Now, cocaine use, dick pill use in his 20s, pussy fiend, right? Like some of these other guys. Cocaine user, pot smoker. We know that because he had to go back to his vehicle that he hit the pregnant woman in to get his pipe out of or whatever. We've got, I mean, a whole host. I mean, Jon Jones is, listen, he's drunk all the time. He's like 0-11 against the police. A lot of people like to talk like Jon Jones has never lost, dude. Jon Jones gets fucked up by the cops every time they interact with one another, dude. Black man can't drink. And he cries about it. He's also a massive steroid abuser. And a domestic abuser as well. He also allegedly is into maybe some of the same stuff that Chris Curtis Razor Blades is an ally of. You know, Jon Jones seems to be a Bobby Green enjoyer. I'll put it that way. For those of you that know what I'm talking about, Bobby Green's into that kind of stuff as well. So Jon Jones is like a degen on every possible level, and it's fucking hilarious because out of all of these guys, every single one of them, including Aylin Prez, I don't really see any of them ever pushing a religion. Because typically speaking, when you are a degen, you're just like, whatever, it's fine. You can do you, but, you know, I'm not going to adhere to your rules, motherfucker. That's how I do it. But Jon Jones acts like he's a pastor or something. He's the Pope. John Pope Jones. You know? So, I don't know. He's absolutely the top degen. I don't know how he couldn't be. Okay? Him and Connor are almost on par with another. That's why Connor's sitting firmly in the A+ category, which is made up on the spot in between A and S tier. But the difference is that Conor McGregor doesn't beat his wife, right? That's the difference. Also, a lot of people are going to be like, well, Conor McGregor did steroids too. That's what a lot of dummies say. But the difference is that he removed himself from competition and the testing pool in order to heal a broken bone, whereas Jon Jones is doing steroids for the last 9 years. Almost 10, so. Or has been getting caught for it for the last 9 years anyways. You know? Steroids, cocaine, all the shit. Dude, the guy's a degen. They're all degens. But you know what, dude? Degens are fun. You know, as we move up the list, even Connor seems like such a fun guy to be around. He might be a bit much after like half an hour, but I mean, most of these guys, not all of them. I don't think I'd want to hang out with Israel Adesanya. I don't even think I would want to hang out with Sean O'Malley or the miniature Sean O'Malley on the rise, Peyton Talbot. I don't know that I would want to hang out with these guys. But they're all pretty fun personalities, you know. So while they are degenerate, they're also fighters, and if they had an office job, maybe this would be an issue, but who knows? There's a lot of degenerates in the 9-to-5 world as well, so congratulations to these, how many are on here? 13 fighters for making this list. You are all absolutely fucking degenerate. You're all substance users, abusers, whatever, pussy fiends, whatever it is, right? Chris Curtis, you are a weirdo. And that's it, dude. I don't got much else to say on this. Like and subscribe, all that good shit. I'll see you at the next video. Bye-bye.